and welcome to Mrs. Pam Reads. Today we are actually finishing our current book, Shoeless Joe by W.P. Kinsella. So the next time you see me, there'll be a different placard sign. All right, this is part 5, and it is entitled The Rapture of J.D. Salinger. In the last video, a lot happened. Moonlight Graham stepped off of the field and became young Moonlight Graham, the baseball player, and became old Archie Graham, the doctor, and saved Karen, yes, Karen, the daughter, from choking on a hot dog. And Richard, Ray's brother, was able to see his father. And Ray and Richard had a conversation, sort of, with their dad, who, of course, is a young man at that time. And Jerry had a vision of a bunch of cars coming and not really knowing why they're coming, and paying money to sit down and watch the baseball game for those people who can see the players and see the game. And as we closed out, that's what was happening. All these cars were starting to just come down the long drive to the farm. All right, so let's finish up. No one asked me. It was instinct that caused me to build that door in the right center field fence. A very ordinary door that, from a distance, looks as if it was created by sawing the shape of a door into the finished fence. The door opens out and is held in place by a silver bird beak latch. When a game ends, the players, both those with substance and those without, amble across the field, visiting with each other, gloves hanging limp in their hands, bats resting languidly on their shoulders. The bat boys and equipment men drag brown sacks of bats and balls across the field, leaving a quavering wake behind them on the bright green grass. The last to leave pulls the door closed behind him, and as if this were a signal, the lights that whiten the baseball field snap off, glow eerily from yellow to orange to gray, and then vanish altogether, along with the other accoutrements of wonder, the stands, fans, the vendors. Often Karen and I are left alone on our perch, the one weak battery floodlights sizzling above us. We make our way across the cool, moist outfield, Karen sometimes walking, sometimes being carried. With my help, she latches the gate, pushing the silver bird beak through the silver circle. Then we walk toward our home, our shadows long and black behind us. On the porch, I switch off the lights, and the ballpark sighs in silence. A frog shrills, the fence creaks in reply. I try not to wonder what is beyond that gate, to speculate on what kind of limbo my ball players lie in. Do they smell of mothballs, like dolls packed away in an old woman's trunk for 50 years? Or are they stored on shelves? Is there a warehouse full of ancient baseball players packed away in bales, brittle and dry, faces full of eggshell cracks? Or do they merely move on to another ballpark, another town? Are there other ball fields like mine? Other players? Other magic farms with low-flying planes? Are there layers upon layers of dimensions, like coats of varnish on fine furniture? Or do my players go back to a phantom hotel change clothes, and head out to shadowy restaurants, bars, and nightclubs. I do have hope. I think cunning thoughts. My hope is that if I serve them well, I may someday be told their secrets, may even be invited to walk through that door with them after a game. That is why I am at first surprised, then envious, then angry when I overhear a conversation in the outfield among Shoeless Joe Jackson, Salinger, and Happy Felch. How would you like to go along with us after the game? Says Joe to Salinger, while Happy Felch nods his approval. It is early in the evening. We are on our way to the stands. The outfielders have been shagging flies. Everything seems so normal. It is as if they are unaware of the uniqueness of their situation, the import of their suggestion, the stardust that is their lives. I'd be delighted, says Jerry, smiling warmly. In the bleacher, I am as silent as if I have been rained on. I remember that once, as a child, I invited two friends over to play with a board game I had been given for Christmas. In a short time, they discovered it was more fun with only two players. They played. I watched and was outraged at their betrayal, which they seemed not even to realize. The same is true tonight. Salinger pretends nothing unusual is happening. By the sixth inning, I can no longer control my seething anger. Why you? I demand of Salinger. He's very interested in the action on the field. He refuses to look at me. I built this damn field, I shout. I carved it out of my cornfield. It's been like creating a giant work of art, like birthing a child. It's mine. I stop as the words pile up on top of each other in my throat. Whatever I may say will be inadequate to express my rage. Didn't ask them to, says Jerry. I built this field. They wouldn't be here if it weren't for me. I brought you here because I wanted to renew your life. I don't want to be replaced. Nobody wants to be replaced, Salinger says quietly. But you didn't think this up. You told me yourself that you were told to come to New Hampshire and find me, he says logically. But I am not at the moment interested in logic. Oh, you've already rationalized it until it's okay. I should have known I couldn't share without being taken advantage of. There is a reason, I assure you, Salinger says with quiet dignity. It is as if he is speaking to a stranger after all I have done to make him a friend. It's not fair, I say, knowing that I sound like a pouting child. But am I really so wrong? This is my creation. If I can't play, then I'll take the ball home. Salinger studies the backs of his large hands, the hair on them bristling white as phantom willow socks. He locks his fingers together, twisting them tightly until the nails become ice-colored. I picture myself in the quiet, air-conditioned cab of the high, dark green John Deere tractor that sits, bulky as a weapon, in the machine shed. I could drive right through the fence time and time again and smash the bleachers with 2 or 3 careful runs. I could gather up the pieces, tie them in bundles, white splinters grinning out of the dark green boards, drag them off to the woodpile, and use them in the fireplace at the house. Then I could hook up the plow and chop up the field as if I were cutting salad with a glittering French knife, burying the bases, erasing the baselines. The single beam of light from the tractor would circle the field all night, and the beam would play across the corn each time I turned the wheel, driving my ghostly players away like fugitives. By dawn, there would be only a plowed field, level as a black sea. If Salinger says, no one ever promised you life would be fair, I'll do it, I swear. My stomach hurts. I can feel cold sweat trickling down my sides. But Salinger remains silent, thoughtful. Karen has fallen asleep in my arms. Salinger reaches over, takes one of her tiny hands in his. Her nails are blunt, her freckled fingers scuffed. All right, says Jerry, and he looks me squarely in the eye. All right, he says again. I gave the interview. What interview? You know damn well what interview. The one about baseball, the one about the Polo Grounds, the one that charged you up and sent you all the way to New Hampshire to find me. That one. You lied. Back then, I couldn't let anybody get that close to me. Karen stirs slightly as Salinger closes his hand over hers. I've thought of telling you, but I was saving it for the right moment. Well, I think this is definitely the right moment, I say indignantly. I was just contemplating destroying the field. I thought of turning them down, says Salinger. I really did. Telling them that it was you who created them, you who deserves to be first. But then I thought, they must know. There must be a reason for them to choose me, just as there was a reason for them to choose you, and Iowa, and this farm. Yes, there are obvious reasons why he has been chosen, and they wash all around me as I see Salinger staring tenderly down at Karen. And as he does this, he nods towards the house, toward where Annie waits with her brilliant love. If you can package up your jealousy for a few minutes, you'll see that I'm right. I'm unattached. My family is grown up, and he says, smiling sardonically at me, if I have the courage to do this, then you'll have to stop badgering me about the other business. I mean, publishing is such a pale horse compared to this. But what a story it will make. And his voice rises. A man being able to touch the perfect dream. I'll write of it, I promise. You really gave the interview? You really said those things? You really wanted more than anything else in the world to play at the Polo Grounds? I did. I apologize for everything I've been thinking. No need. I saw myself growing too old for the dream, saw the giants move across a continent, and finally they tore down the Polo Grounds in 1964. You really said that? I did. As if on cue, Annie appears, skips up the bleacher, and sits beside me. She rubs her denim thigh against mine. She is warm as sunshine, Annie is. Jerry's been invited out with the baseball players after the game, I say, trying to make it sound casual. The way 10 years from now, I'll say, Karen's going to the drive-in tonight with one of the Kolowski boys, the one whose fists dragged the ground and who was arrested for reckless driving last month. Out, says Annie. Out, I repeat, pointing toward the door in the right center field fence. Well, be careful, says Annie, smiling brightly. Jerry nods. What do you think is out there? He says to me. Are there other places like this? People like you? I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I'm the one who's always one play behind, the last to know, if you know what I mean. But as I say this, I too am smiling. Ray, do you think the Polo Grounds just might be floating around out there? Do you think I might get to play, or like Eddie Skizzens, get to sit in the stands the way I am now and watch a 20-year-old kid with a smooth face and black pompadoured hair try out with the 1938 Giants? I think that's what I'd like to do. Well, I hope it works out, I say. I hope you won't be disappointed. The game ends and the players begin to drift off toward their exit. Jerry places Karen's hand carefully on my chest, breaking the chain by which the four of us touched. She curls her fingers into a fist and tucks it under her chin. Jerry climbs down the bleacher and walks around the end of the fence. Below us, Shoeless Joe Jackson has been waiting in left field. Take care of my friend, I call to Joe. He salutes, claps a hand on Jerry's shoulder, and they walk across the outfield to where Happy Felch and the catcher wait by the gate. Joe, Happy, Salinger, and the catcher are the last ones through the gate. The lights dim, making cooling sounds like icicles breaking. The rest of the mirage retreats slowly, like a boat sailing into a fog bank. The voices of the ball players merge with the silky rustling of the corn stalks. I place Karen on my shoulder like a small sack of corn. Annie hugs my waist, her face against my arm, and we make our way first to the gate, which Annie and I lock by forcing the silver point through the silver ring, and then towards the house. On the porch, we turn to look at the silent satiny green of the field. I press the switch and, like a candle going out, the scar of lights disappears. Above the farm, a moon, bright as butter, silvers the night as Annie holds the door open for me. And that's the end. Interesting. Okay, well, so Jerry went out with the spirits, with the ghosts, with the dead ball players, and we don't know what happened. I don't even think that there's a sequel. I think that's just it. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed Shoeless Joe by W.P. Kinsella. Oh, we're at the end of a book. So, oh my gosh. Let me go ahead and put my little sign up. So, if you have enjoyed watching or listening to these stories or this particular book, certainly go ahead, if you have not yet, and click the subscribe button. And you'll see, I can't point right there. See the bell? Somewhere on that page is a little bell tab. And if you click the bell tab, you will get notifications when a new video is posted. So there's benefits to subscribing if you like the stories and you don't want to miss a new video. At this point, we have Shoeless Joe. Now, of course, I don't know when you're watching this, but as of this recording, Shoeless Joe is the third book on the channel. So we have The Help, and we have A Man Called Ove. And I am going to actually start reading Zoo by James Patterson. I've never read it. I never saw it. I did take a quick peek in their short chapters, which is really cool. So that will be the next book to watch for. And again, if you guys have a book that you would like me to read on the channel, please just send me a message and let me know. I'd be happy to look into that for you. All right, you guys, thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed Shoeless Joe. I hope to see you again for a new video, and I will see you next time.